in secret. There is one man that I found very interesting speaking about this. His name is Bill Wilson. He is with the Americans for Limited Government, and made some statements that I think that you can see for yourself. But the facts that he presents are very clearly that the U.S. Trade Representative working with these industries, 17 negotiators from the corporate world, have access to these documents and are sitting at the table negotiating them, and yet our own U.S. congressmen cannot have access to it. Now, in 1998, just to give you an example of how this works and what I've seen actually, in 1998 in Rome, Italy, the International Criminal Court was created. The International Criminal Court can call each one of us under its purview, even though we have not ratified that treaty. It's written into the treaty. It's written this way. So now the United Nations has its legislative branch, its executive branch, and its judicial branch. It is a government. The only thing it's lacking is its own ability to tax. And right now they don't have that, but they're looking for it with their Green Climate Fund. So what Obama is doing and what he did today through executive order is very purposeful. This is not just something he's just pulled out of the air. But let me tell you something else. When George W. Bush was our president, he did not unsign one of these things. And when George H.W. Bush was president, he went to Rio de Janeiro to sign the Climate Change Treaty. Now you tell me how pro-American that is. The very president who calls for the New World Order goes to Rio de Janeiro to sign two documents, Agenda 21 and the Climate Change Treaty, and the Climate Change Treaty is the one that will be a legally binding treaty as of 2015, and you can expect Obama to sign it, and the Green Climate Fund will be the global taxing scheme. That's what we're looking at right now, folks. We're on the cusp of all of this. That's why these trade treaties are so very important to us. Now, again, as Bill Wilson goes on, and I saw your question, and I want to hear that, and I want to hear your comments. But let me get through this in a hurry. We become wage slaves, is what we are becoming, to an oppressive government and its cadre of corporate backers that consider our lives and our liberties of little or no consequence. That is what is happening with these trade treaties. Our copyright law has already been watered down. We've got some who have wanted to equalize our patent system with all other nations around the globe. This just was before the U.S. Senate, and as a matter of fact, John Cornyn was a huge advocate of it. Ted Cruz was not, and helped to, behind the scenes, deal with that and get rid of it. But it will be coming up again. There's some things, of course, we know they're just going to the back burner simply because there's something called an election coming up. And so, it will be back. They also want to regulate the internet, and the way they're doing it, again, just like with our guns, they're coming in with a backdoor approach. And in this case, the new regulations would require the internet service providers to oversee those that they sell services to. So right now, they give you access to the internet, but they don't look at your emails and they don't study your websites. But this treaty would require those internet service providers to look at what you put on the internet and literally begin to police what you put on the internet. So it wouldn't be creating a new a government agency. It would just put a regulation on an existing business and cause all of our prices to go up. So that is his goal. And he is making headway, of course. This is very good news, very good news. The American people, back in 1999, most thought that this whole idea of free trade was a good idea. Only 30% opposed it. But in 2010, 53% of the American people thought, we better stop, look, and listen before we sign on any more of these free trade treaty agreements. In 2012 poll, the single biggest obstacle for creating American manufacturing jobs, the people said was, our trade policies encourage outsourcing. So that's just one aspect. But people are catching on to this, and that's very good news. Phyllis Laffey, the national leader of Eagle Forum, says, trade agreements are about creating imports from low-wage countries who often cheat us coming and going. The trade agreements, can you go back one? Thank you. The trade agreements are a violation of U.S. sovereignty and our Constitution. Since 2000, the United States has lost almost 1/3 or 5.5 million manufacturing jobs, and that's according to the Congressional Research Office. That's not just something that a right-wing think tank came up with. We are losing our middle class when we are doing away with our manufacturing jobs. This is a very big deal. This is a very big deal. Now, what can we do about this? Ask our congressmen to vote no on giving Obama fast-track authority. It's called Trade Promotion Authority. I'm already weighing in with Ted Cruz's office on this. No trade promotion authority for Obama. No fast-track authority. It imposes mandatory deadlines, severely limits debate, allows no amendments, and gives Congress only an aye or no vote. By the way, the Rules Committee today in Fort Worth for the Republican Party of Texas was discussing whether, if you want to put any amendment in the rules, you need to offer that amendment to the committee 24 hours in advance. There would be no amendments on the floor. Folks, we're going to go to Fort Worth, and we're going to have our voices heard. And this kind of malarkey, I think people are getting tired of the railroading. We also have to remind our congressmen that treaties are foreign governments are foreign trade treaties that require 2/3 approval of the United States Senate. Right now, with fast-track authority, one of the most onerous things about it is that you can put a free trade agreement up there, and a simple majority of each house is required once Obama is given fast-track authority. That's wrong. That's wrong. It should be 2/3 of the United States Senate to approve these. And finally, ask your congressman to vote against both of these things if they do come to the floor. The one across the Pacific, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the one across the Atlantic, TTIP, Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, TTIP. Now, with that, I hope to hear from you, your comments, your questions, and probably answers too. Yes, sir.
Do you not think there is global warming? What if there is global warming? Should the United States
Testing.
take some kind of role in helping to alleviate that if it is proven to be fact?
He's asking about global warming. Is there anything to the theory? It is a theory. It is an unproven theory. The only place that global warming exists, because the Earth has been cooling since 1998. No warming since 1998. Okay? So, the only place it exists is in a computer model. As far as weather changing, climate has always changed. In the historical past, we have had much higher CO2 levels than what we have today. We are not adding to the air enough burning of fossil fuels, carbon dioxide, or cattle producing methane gas that is going to upset anything concerning our climate. One volcanic eruption is going to do more than anything that we can muster.
We got to work.
I'm sorry.
So if you have a question, we can do
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
I just meant that it does seem that the hurricanes, tornadoes become more severe, more devastating in the last few years. Of course, we've had the drought, which is affecting the whole western United States.
He's making a good point here.
He's saying that there's drought and hurricanes and tornadoes and that kind of stuff.
Is there an increase in those things? You would be very surprised. They are not more severe, and there are not more of them. That is a scientific fact. They're not there. But you're never going to convince Obama of that. Why? Because if he can regulate the air that you breathe out, And the carbon dioxide, the same air that you breathe out, the air that is emitted when fossil fuels are burned, then he can control every aspect of your life, and that's what he wants. That's what this is all about. It has nothing to do with climate.
CO2, it's forever been the way it is. Photosynthesis,
We can't live
it's
without
just
it.
the way it is. It's not bad. It's just the way the world works. It's the way God made it. And for a man to follow this fallacy of what man says is a bad thing, which is the way it works. Agenda 21. I was waiting for you to get there. Thank you, Madam Governor. What is your full?
In a nutshell, I
I
can
know
say
what
what
it
it is.
is. I want to know what your thought of it
Yeah.
is.
Agenda 21 was, as I say, first of all, I have a whole presentation on Agenda 21. Agenda 21, in a nutshell, first of all, was signed by George H.W. Bush. He went to Rio de Janeiro to sign two things, the Climate Change Treaty and Agenda 21. So if it wasn't important for Americans, why in the world do we have 108 heads of state, including the United States President, go to Rio de Janeiro to sign this treaty and this document called Agenda 21? What it is in a nutshell is sustainable development. What is sustainable development? It is absolute equity concerning the environment, the economy, and socially. So it is communism. It is the green wrapping on the red Marxist system. It is like a watermelon. It has nothing to do with climate and everything to do with controlling every aspect of your life, and most particularly the United States of America, lowering our lifestyle, because they are naive enough to think that if they lower our lifestyle, all of a sudden the people of Sudan are going to quit being slaughtered by the Muslims. It's not going to happen. It is not, and yet you look at every day I do at UN diatribes, and every day it is, well, when we have sustainable development, we'll have no more war. We'll have no more famines. We'll have no more hurricanes. We'll have no more anything that hurts. We're all going to live in peace forevermore. No, we won't. There's no such thing. But the author of peace, the Prince of Peace, his name is Jesus, and he's coming back, and we better be obedient today and live.
Next question. You're on.
Yes, sir.
I was going to answer that guy in front of me.
You guys gotta speak.
I was going to answer that guy in front of me, tell him
He's
there's
answering your
24-hour news, and they're reporting every incident of weather disruption. That's why we see more of it. But I was going to give my impression of what both the Atlantic and the Pacific partnerships will do. The Atlantic will make us part of the EU. The Pacific will make us part of what we're not even formed. What isn't even formed yet. And China will be in it before it's all over with.
That's right. Great point. And you'll find this again and again and again in everything that is written about it. We can't read the document, but what is written about it? Integrating our economies with these other nations. That is the goal, to integrate our economy with the EU. Well, they've got Spain that's bankrupt. They've got Greece that's bankrupt. Everybody's turning